Hello everyone, it's the Effort Adventure here, and I'm here to talk about something that I feel is very important to me as a gamer. So I've been checking out a lot of videos and articles regarding Anita Sarkeesian. If you don't know who that is, putting it simply, she is a feminist, or at least she claims to be one. The more proper and appropriate term to use would be feminazi. She created a series called Feminist Frequency, where generally she does a commentary on things she finds troubling, sexist, and misogynistic in video games, at least in her own mind. And see, this is where we run into our first of many problems with her. She knows virtually nothing about video games. See, in her videos, and I'm going to make this as simple and plain as possible, she shows scenes from various video games that either show female characters being attacked, hurt, in peril, trapped, captured, struggling, and killed. The thing about it is that for the majority of these games, she cherry-picks scenes from games that just happen to show a female in trouble, but has no prior knowledge or context as to why she's in trouble, or even more so, killed. She'll often bend scenes to her own ideals of women in video games, only being objects that can easily be dispatched and sexualized with no further regards. The thing is, this just isn't the case. See, she sees this as sexism within video games, and has a whole idea of women only being damsels in distress, like a princess. One of the simplest examples of this is Mario and Princess Peach, and how she's always being captured by the evil Bowser. According to her, Peach is being subject to a man having to come rescue her each and every single time because she's deemed too weak to do anything for herself. And this is supposed to be a heralding message that men basically run the show through masculinity and macho-ness. What she doesn't take into account is that there are literally hundreds of games where there are strong female leads. Some examples of those are Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Portal, Silent Hill 3, Metroid, Perfect Dark, and even Princess Peach herself has her own game where she's the main lead, and she's saving Mario and Luigi. So does that still make her a defenseless damsel in distress that can't handle herself? That's up to you to decide. But even still, she created tropes to describe these characters like Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, and why she believes they're sexist. So even though these games display strong, beautiful, and independent females taking the lead, as opposed to the buff, gruff, gun-toting male, her thirst for finding feminism in just about everything will never be quenched. Now, back to what I was saying about her using these scenes from various video games. The thing about it is that she's actually stealing this footage in her videos from other Let's Players and giving zero credit to them, as if she actually played these games herself for her own videos. Another interesting thing that she does, like I said, specifically picks out parts where women are being hurt or killed. However, in a lot of them you are given the choice whether or not to do so. Take a game like Grand Theft Auto, really any from 3 and after. There are women in the game. You can beat them up, you can kill them, you can pay them to have sex with you, and then kill them afterward. All of this is very true, however, the game never tells you to do so, or even encourages you to do so. Whether or not you go around beating up random women, or really anybody, is all up to you. It's your choice to do so, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. The game never says, hey, go shoot that girl in the head. So the next thing we come to is Anita's, and feminism in general's, intense, raging hypocrisy. I want you to look at this picture here. This picture shows Anita posing with what is proposed to be her video game collection, or at least games she possibly approves of. The thing about it is that upon looking closer, you can see a good chunk of very odd games to be in a collection of someone like Anita Sarkeesian. See, Anita is not just against violence against women in video games, but violence in general. She detests gory, bloody, intense violence in video games, so you can imagine she'd be against games such as Dead Space, one of the most goriest and violent games of all time, Fallout, where you can literally pick which limbs you want to strategically shoot off your enemies, Doom, which is notorious for its high amount of violence and gore, and yet you look at this picture, and I'll give you a small list of games she has here in her collection. A good number of Assassin's Creed games, Left 4 Dead, Mortal Kombat 9, Grand Theft Auto 4, Red Dead Redemption, Dead Space 1 and 2, Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, Clive Barker's Jericho, Dead Rising 1 and 2, Duke Nukem Forever, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, Saints Row the Third, and possibly my favorite, Catherine. If you don't know what Catherine is, this is Catherine. She preaches that women are objectified in video games and owns this game with this kind of cover. God only knows what kind of content this game contains. Funny thing is, I've actually played this game, and you want to know something? In this particular game, the male lead is the victim to just about everything. The male lead is with a rather touchy girlfriend who consistently keeps pressuring him to marry her, to which he's not ready for, and keeps getting visited by a succubus that keeps sleeping with him, to which he has zero control over, because he's basically being controlled every single time it happens, and he has no knowledge of it until after it has happened. But knowing Anita, she'd find anything in a game like this to complain about. Now, only a couple months ago, Anita uploaded a video on her Feminist Frequency YouTube channel where she praised a game called Sword and Sworcery, where the game's main protagonist, the Scythian, is one of the only examples of a positive female character in a video game in her eyes. The thing about the Scythian is that this is the Scythian, and I want you to take a good look at this creature. So, why does Anita believe that this character is considered a positive female character in a video game? I'll tell you why. Paraphrasing what she said, the Scythian depicts a female, if she even is that, and she's even admitted that its gender is rather ambiguous, who has no backstory, no defining features, no personality, no nothing. Which is good because, well, we'll be able to identify ourselves with something that we can put our own personality on as opposed to a pre-placed one. So, in essence, if a female in a video game is an absolute nothing, that's good. And that is the most backward statement I've ever heard regarding her message of feminism. A female in a video game should be a blank slate, should not have any personality, should not have any defining features, should not have anything that makes them unique. Those are the very reasons people love characters like Lara Croft, Samus Aran, Jill Valentine, and so on, because they have backstory, they have defining features. Heck, Samus wears a power suit. They have personalities, and at the same time they're strong, independent female leads. This is why we love females in video games. We identify with them even though they're females because they have elements to their personalities that perhaps we share with them. They have depth to their character, and they develop as characters just as we develop through life. Anita Sarkeesian says women in video games should be boring and have no relatable or identifiable features. So is that how women should be, Anita? They should all be blank slates? Would that make them more likable as women? All women worldwide should just be blank, emotionless, featureless nothings? Now, we're going to come off the games for just a bit to talk about Anita herself. Anita Sarkeesian is a liar. She's just a straight-up liar. See, she's made this entire series, Feminist Frequency, where she's criticizing video games for their content as if she actually was a real gamer. But I want you to watch this video here.
I'm going to show you a remix that I just finished this weekend and no one else has seen. One person has seen it. It's a soundtrack of one song, except I'm doing video games. So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
There's too many dicks on the dance floor!
Too many dicks on the dance floor. Too many dicks on the dance floor.
Too many dicks.
To me, the song is positive just because I've only contextualized it in a way to critique male domination in our media. And also, video games. Like, I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So, hence, this is my response.
In this video, she states, and I quote, "I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping their heads off. That's just gross." So it's quite clear that before this whole Feminist Frequency series even began, she was not a gamer. Even earlier in the video, she says, "I'm doing video games, so that's not exactly a fandom." She then stops herself to continue with, "I'm not a fan of video games." She's not a fan of video games. Let that sink in. She's not a fan of video games, yet she has the audacity to go and do a Kickstarter to which she's raised $500,000, nearly $500,000, to advance her message of female mistreatment and violence in video games, as well as this whole Feminist Frequency crap she's been doing. Like, she's been a gamer for years, when she's only been looking into them for like 5 or so years, mainly just to make a point that men supposedly run video games. Interestingly enough, females make up nearly half of the gaming community. Perhaps she purposely ignored this fact, or just didn't do her research like she says that she does. But the fact of the matter is that she'll, bend anything to her ideals in more ways than one, too. See, she complains that there aren't enough female leads in video games, which there are, and that women are only objects that are used for the pleasure and satisfaction of men when regarding video games, which is only half true. And above all else, she complains that there are too many damsels in distress in video games, and that game designers need to quit with making so many women appear as these defenseless damsels in distress in their games. At the same time, if anybody comes at her with opposing comments that don't follow her ideals, she'll send her legions of white knights after them, which in turn makes her the very thing she despises and wants dead, the damsel in distress. It's crazy, I know, but this really is the true nature of feminazis. They say they want equal treatment and come off as strong and independent, but say one thing against them or something they don't agree with, and they'll immediately cry sexist, misogynist, and why? All because you don't agree with what they say. To them, you're supporting rape culture as well as the patriarchy they always like to bring up, all because you don't agree with them. They don't want to hear it. They can spout whatever they want about anything, calling men pigs, saying that we as men are misogynists, but they don't want to hear any of that criticism coming their way. Used to be that feminism was all about actually attaining equal rights in a time where women were truly oppressed. They couldn't work, they couldn't vote, they couldn't do a lot of things, and women fought for their rights to do these things, to be citizens that can do a lot of the same things that at the time only men could do. Now, you have women who work multi-million-dollar companies, who can run for president of the United States, and better yet, can design video games. Anita, but they're still oppressed. To a feminist, a woman will never be equal to a man. It's a very backwards mentality. It's like they want to fight for women being equal to men, but at the same time, it's almost like they're embracing that men will always be superior no matter what. So in actuality, they're oppressing themselves. It's that mentality that's truly keeping them held down, that they can't do anything, that they're not as great as men are. But look, there are some amazing women out there that do incredible things in politics, in television, in video games, in the workplace, and so on. These feminists in actuality don't want to be equal to men. They want to be superior over men. They want the control that they believe men have over this world, which is why they're always saying, like, men are pigs, but they want to be equal to men, so they want to be pigs? But see, we're going to take a few things that are really simple and shed some light on the situation. A woman can hit a man and people won't bat an eye. They might just even laugh. But a man can't hit a woman even if she hits first, and if he does, it's to the slammer. According to feminists, a man can't be raped by a woman, and they even assume that these men who are supposedly raped enjoyed it. However, if a man rapes a woman, it's to the slammer without a second thought. About 60 to 70% of divorces are filed out by women in the United States, and a lot of these women are the same ones who proclaim that they're strong, opinionated females in society and very possibly don't need a man anyways. Yet who ends up paying the other person alimony more often than not after a divorce? That's right, a man does. See where I'm going with this? Equality, but only when it's convenient. All that aside, there are plenty of people who have made videos exposing Anita Sarkeesian and her lies and deceit. Sargon of Akkad, Mr. Repzion, Alpha Omega Sin, The Amazing Atheist, Thunderfoot, the list goes on, but these are some of the ones that continually keep tabs on Anita Sarkeesian and general dumb stuff feminazis say, and I highly recommend you check out their channels. In reality, talking about her is only making her famous. I know, haters make you famous, but the entire reason we have to put out videos like this, exposing her for what she is because she's masquerading as a gamer and as a feminist. She's really neither, and the sad truth is that there are people who follow her. I'm not, saying to go out and harass her on Twitter, where she unfortunately posts very, as she likes to say, toxic tweets regarding gamers, men, video games, and mass shootings. Like I said, this isn't an invitation to go out and harass her, calling her name, sending her death threats, or anything like that. Better yet, educate yourselves on her various lies, and tell anyone that you know that is a gamer about her. What we need to do is stand up to her and her army of white knights by showing them what being a gamer is all about, and that is just loving video games. Ignoring her just means her message will advance, and if we don't expose her, people will continue to blindly follow her. Anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe, as well as subscribe to the other channels that I mentioned. I'll put links to their channels in the description for you to subscribe and like their videos. Check out their content; it's really good. And I won't be doing a lot of videos like this. For my channel, I was originally going to do like music and video games, but it's mostly music, and I will be getting back to music stuff. Don't worry, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of these. But anyways, I will see you all in the next video, which will most likely be a music review. So long.